In this video, I'm not only going to show you how to go from this to this, but also how you can go from this to this. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be breaking the sound that we produce into 3 parts. The first part is purity, the second part is your vowel, and the third part is the core. Most people have 1 or 2 of these down pretty well, but what separates amateurs from professionals is that professionals have all 3. I'm going to go through what each of these elements mean and how we can improve them, even though they're sort of terms that I mostly made up to help myself. Keep in mind the third one is probably the most important to your overall progress. So the first element we're going to go over is what I like to call the purity of your sound. Most people are able to get this one down pretty early, but if you don't have it, you just sound bad. Here's an example of what I call a not pure sound. It's kind of an extreme example, but you can hear all that sort of in the sound. It can also be a bit more subtle like this. Hear that little scratchy noise on the top note? That's basically what we're aiming to get rid of in this step. Now, through my own experience, fixing this issue comes down to basically 2 simple steps. This is fundamentally happening because your lips just aren't vibrating correctly across the entire surface. The most likely reason for this is too much tension or wrongly distributed tension in your lips. So if this is happening to you and you're playing a middle G and you're getting junk in your sound, you might just be squeezing too hard. The other solution, which is what I had to do, has to actually do with the placement of your mouthpiece. So if I put my mouthpiece way to the side, actually that wasn't too bad. Maybe this side. There's just no shot I'm gonna create that pure sound if it's not in a spot that wants to vibrate correctly. So this can go left and right. You need to find the sweet spot. You might be too high up and you might be too low. And you might also be pointing your bell in a direction that just doesn't vibrate for you. Just because you see your favorite trumpet player aiming their bell in a certain way or have it on a certain way on their lips doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to work for you. So if the first solution didn't work, there's a chance that you might need to experiment with how you put the horn on your face. My personal solution was getting both of my lips to feel like they're vibrating, putting it right in the middle. And for me, if I put the mouthpiece a little bit to the right, my lips just vibrate 10 times better. I wouldn't move on to the next elements if you haven't found the pure sound, because nobody really wants to listen if you have a bunch of static in your sound. And so the next element is your vowel shape. Most people know about this one, but they just don't apply it consistently. Here's a demonstration of a pure sound with a bad vowel shape. Now, unfortunately, with this step and the next step, you're not going to hear quite as much change over the iPhone speaker. It just is what it is. But these 2 elements in real life are actually far more important than the purity. So there's 2 factors with this vowel shape I'm talking about. What vowel shape are you picking, and do you maintain that vowel shape throughout everything that you play? I personally use aww. For me, this just gets me a very warm, rich sound while having this sort of bigness and resonance to it. The only other vowel shape I can personally recommend is oh, oh, which has a slightly different color to it, but not in a bad way. I would strongly recommend against using E. It's relatively easy to get a pure sound like this, but to the audience member, you just sound bright and nasally and trumpety. What we want is that almost godlike sound of just pure resonance. This is going to require a more open vowel shape like what we talked about. Now here's the important part. You have to maintain this vowel shape no matter where you go in the register. Here's an example of a good vowel shape closing down going up. Not only does the sound just get wiped away and there's almost no volume left, allowing your jaw to go from I just to go higher is literally going to give you less range. It'll close off your aperture and your lips won't vibrate anymore. But how do I go higher without closing my mouth more? If you can't manage to maintain your vowel shape like this, I strongly recommend watching one of my recent videos where I explain exactly how to go into the upper register without changing your vowel shape. In short, this involves tightening and loosening your face muscles without moving them. Sort of like this. Applying this on the horn, or less make your tone quality just the same throughout the register. The next and last element is the hardest thing to explain and apply, but it's not impossible and anybody can do it. It's just the thing that separates us from the professionals. Like I said before, this element doesn't really translate very well through an iPhone microphone, but the difference it makes when somebody's listening across the concert hall is gigantic. So if you properly got the last two elements down, then whenever you play, you should be feeling your horn vibrating in your hands. Having a pure sound is going to make your horn vibrate on the easy notes, and maintaining your vowel shape is generally going to keep that resonance in the horn no matter where you go. But there's something that's still missing, and that's your body vibrating. Yes, you heard correctly. That is the final element to taking your sound from okay to really good out of nowhere. My approach to this is very similar to singing. When you sing in your middle register, you should feel your chest and body vibrate. Da, 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 da. You can test this by just putting your hand on your chest and feeling that vibration. If you still don't feel it, try this. Say and then just open your mouth. It's almost like a mind-muscle connection that you might need to develop to get that sensation internalized. But once you're comfortable with it, try and see if you can replicate that feeling while you play. If you're not sure if you got it, try putting your hand on your chest when you play. Now remember, we're not literally singing through the horn. That doesn't work. We're just using that same sensation we get when we sing in the chest while we're playing. And instead of your vocal cords being here, it's just your vibrating surface on your lips. Chances are you still don't feel your body vibrating while you're playing. And that's okay, because if it was easy, everybody would do it and everybody would sound amazing. Even if you don't feel your chest vibrating, keep in mind that feeling that sensation that you get when you are singing, even if it's not literally vibrating like it is when you sing, there's a good chance that there's still a big impact on your tone. I would suggest working on this every single day in your warm-up, switching between and of course, and just do whatever you can during that warm-up to find that sensation. Now, when you finally do notice that vibration in your chest, but you notice you don't necessarily sound that much better, that's because of two things. You're probably in a small room where you could sound like Wynton Marsalis and it wouldn't really matter because nothing sounds good in a small room. And also, you're not on the objective end of your bell where you can really hear everything. Being behind the bell as a player, it's pretty easy to hear the purity of your sound and if you have a good vowel shape throughout. But it's a little bit harder to notice the difference that the core of the sound makes as the actual player. However, if you are executing this correctly, it feels great to play. It might sound weird, but doing this at the highest level, it feels like your entire body is vibrating while you play. And at that point, the instrument is literally just an extension of your body, and if you're doing that consistently, you can do whatever you want because you're going to sound amazing. This video was kind of nuanced, so if you have any questions, ask in the comments below. And feel free to debate each other because I know everybody knows exactly what they're talking about. If this video helped you, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.